against Austin Collins. You see Zan up a game. Means we're in sideboard configurations now. I don't think there's any real hard hate cards out of this Urza deck. But still, the matchup does improve for most decks against Amulet Titan in post-board games.
Yeah, tons of Damping Spheres.
How many are we looking at for Zan?
3.
Okay, that's a good number.
Assassin's Trophy, a strong get. Thoughtseize, important card.
Yeah. These cards are good.
That's actually that's a pretty big portion of cards to side into a deck that's dedicated to its strategy.
No, I think you're right. I think both players still working with 7 at this point. Haven't been any mulligans that we've missed. Players packing matching sleeves here.
Yeah, what's on those sleeves, Brian?
I don't know. It kind of looks like an Ebon Dragon, but it's not. I'm being told it's a Headless Horseman variant, something like a Headless Rider on a dragon. Very odd sleeves for 2 players to have down in the feature match area.
So if it would be a Headless Horseman.
Well, it's a Headless Dragon Rider?
Dragonman?
Dragonman? I don't
Dragon
know.
person?
Dragon person, sure, that works. Everyone can ride dragons. Well, we have Sakura Tribe Scout for Austin Collins. But Zan with a nice little start here. The goose is loose. Honk.
They always play so many cards on the first turn.
They really do. That is the hallmark of Simic Urza. Austin with active Sakura Tribe Scout. Love to see that as the Amulet player. Enable some of your most exciting starts. So does this card.
Yeah, this is the start right here.
Amulet of Vigor. Bounce land. Yeah, I'll untap that one. Return it to my hand. 2 mana floating, a green and a white.
Are we going to have the Azusa into the Titan? Just have it all?
Let's see. Let's see what Austin's getting up to here. Thus far, a dream turn for Austin Collins. Slowing down a bit. Time for Ancient Stirrings.
Sure, the dream is still live, though.
It is. Dream of Azusa is still alive anyway. I guess that's enough, though. You could also activate that Sakura Tribe Scout. Yeah, you'd get there.
Well, you need the Scout to get the Azusa on the board.
Okay, so we're 1 short now.
Yeah, the dream is dead.
Okay. It was good while it lasted, Greg.
It really was.
Engineered Explosives going to be the get for Austin Collins here. Good card in this matchup. Both sides.
It is, but it's not what you want here, especially when you're on the play.
Huh?
Okay, ooh.
Have the Azusa.
Nice.
Means we have 2 more land drops to make. APT, Craig. Actions per turn. Many have been taken by Amulet. I'm going to write about actions per turn this week. Make sure I get my copyright cemented on that.
Yeah. Trademark.
Whatever. Look at you being a lawyer over there.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, you don't have much experience.
I know. I can't
with
be
this
expected
type
to
of
know this stuff.
But I'll try to keep you in line.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Looks like Austin going to play Engineer Explosives for 0. Go ahead and crack it. Get the food off the battlefield. Stop the accelerants.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
Just get the value while you can. You don't want anything disastrous to happen on the next turn.
Sure. Yeah, you also have to assume Austin with big plans for his next turn.
Yes. And if Zan does something like make a food on his next turn, you're just so happy with that.
Absolutely. some results from the other matchups. Ely Cassis up a game on Collins Mullen.
Why is he so good at Magic, Brian?
A lot of years under his belt. Always been a great player.
Really has.
Was known and feared around my neck of the woods for a very long time. Upstate New York. Ely haunting Binghamton, New York.
Well, I think when he really came into his own is when he just started piloting the best deck and just getting really good at it.
Yeah.
I feel like Ely of old, we used to see him go rogue a lot more.
Always with the crazy brew, every time.
And now we just see him show up with, sometimes a little bit different versions, but still of the best deck.
Mm-hmm. The best core strategy.
And just crushing people every event.
Absolutely right. Well, we got the mana markers out, and that's a bad sign for Zan. Austin going to return that bounce land a couple times. 4 mana floating. 1 land drop left. Summoner's Pact. I wonder what we could be getting. It's like it's going to be Primeval Titan.
Oh, and he still has multiple land drops that he can make.
Mm-hmm. 2, in fact.
Yeah, between Azusa and the scout that we have here.
That kind of setup leads me to believe that Austin's thinking very carefully about whether he can find a way to win the game this turn.
Yes, 100%.
I don't like to speculate when you're in puzzle situations like this. The best amulet players can get bogged down in these for even ages. So I just let Austin do his thing, see what he comes up with.
Yeah, we saw it earlier on the day where a player, they know the line to take, but as they're doing it, they just shortcut a step or they forget a trigger, and it ends up costing them. I don't expect that to happen here, but we do see it happen from time to time.
For sure. Looks like Austin just going to grab Boros Garrison, Slayer's Stronghold here. I'm going to use that to give Titan Vigilance and Haste. Has to return a land to hand. Going to pick up Slayer's Stronghold, it looks like. Yeah, Slayer's Stronghold back to hand. Going to head to combat now. Just Titan. Rumbling into the red zone. Going to grab 2 more lands. Primeval Titan, a silly, silly magic card. Cost 6, though. So I respect it. The silly magic cards that cost 0, 1, 2, 3, less respect headed their way.
Yeah, but it doesn't cost 6, right?
Shh. Shh.
I'm sorry. It costs 6, so it's
Costs
okay.
6.
Yep. I mean, when you have to wait until turn 6 to deploy your powerful card,
right? It doesn't
that's
mean
fair.
as much.
That's fair.
Yeah.
A reasonable magic card.
Thank you for acknowledging that, Greg.
And not only that, but it has to get in combat to do what it does, right?
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's honestly barely playable if you think of it that way.
You can block it with your opposing creatures.
Right.
Yep. It's all fair.
Yeah, it has to survive a turn before it can attack. Nothing to worry about. So, playing this one slow. No ways to put together lethal quite yet for Austin Collins. Just going to get a couple untapped lands. Zan falls to 10. Using those lands to make some mana. Going to deploy Talaria West. Assuming we're going transmuting here.
Brian, these breeding pool inclusions drive me crazy. I think they're Simic Growth Chamber every single time.
I know, Greg. It is hard to keep track of. I understand. Redeploy Slayer's Stronghold using that colorless mana. Gonna go ahead transmute Talaria West. Assume we're getting Pact of Negation here for just a little safety.
Yeah, I can't imagine we're... Well, he has to be a little careful. He has to pay for a green pact next turn.
Right. He's counting now. See what he can afford to pay for.
And so it's possible the safer play is just get another green pact.
It depends what's in his hand. Do we know the card in hand? Is it just the Simic Growth Chamber?
Oh, gosh, you're asking me to keep track of all these blue-green lands that look exactly the same.
We'll let Austin figure it out. If Simic Growth Chamber is in hand, it's safe to pay for a pact, but...
Brian, I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore.
I feel that. Is going to grab Pact of Negation.
Okay, yep. Yeah, if he needs to, he can deploy the extra land with the scout on his next turn and pay for double pacts.
Correct. Another Engineered Explosives for 0.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, this game's going to be over so quick.
Pop it, eat that food. Turn passes back to Zan. Zan scoops him up.
Yep.
That was a really well-played game by Austin Collins. It did not stretch a bunch of turns, but he had to make a very tiny decision on each turn, made it correctly, was very willing to spend those Engineered Explosives, just control Zan's mana, and it paid off huge dividends.
Well, it just made it so that he could use so many resources on each of his turn, and Zan was just stuck with a bird not doing anything.
Yeah. Not going to get the job done. A weakness of the goose, perhaps. Talk a little bit about the sideboards. We don't have them up on the screen for you, but I will tell you about Zan's sideboard. It is featuring 3 Damping Sphere, 1 Ensnaring Bridge, a Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Nile Spellbomb, a Pithing Needle, Assassin's Trophy, Drown in the Lock, Fatal Push, Thoughtseize. We talked a bit about what we wanted here. Obviously, Damping Sphere is huge. Assassin's Trophy, totally fine. What else are you looking for, Craig? Thoughtseize, I'm assuming?
I think Thoughtseize, especially now that you're on the play, it gets even better. You can spend your first turn setting up, and your second turn, Thoughtseize is just such an efficient card to tell you how to navigate the game from there. There's some argument to be made for Fatal Push, where the early plays are just so important in these matchups, and controlling the Secret Tribe Scout or the Azusa with a Fatal Push could be worth having that card in your deck.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see if Zan goes that way. Meanwhile, over on Austin's side, Engineered Explosives, Obstinate Baloth, Ramunap Excavator, 2 Tireless Tracker, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Dismember, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Mystical Dispute, a Cavern of Souls, and a Field of the Dead. And we've seen Austin play this matchup before. We know he likes Disdainful Stroke here, and he seems to sideboard into a more mid-range strategy. Now, that is what he was doing at the end of day 1. Mm-hmm. This is a brand new deck, and it wouldn't surprise me, as if the day has gone on, if Austin has revised his sideboard plan as maybe approaching this matchup in a different way.
Yeah, and not only that, we have open deck lists now. It's possible that even though he was seeing a lot of this Simic Wurza deck around him, he didn't know all the ins and outs of the deck. Mm-hmm. Now that he has more information, he might just employ a completely different sideboarding strategy.
We'll have to see how Austin's going to set up for this pivotal Game 3.
I think... So in talking about how I might like Fatal Push out of Zan, it's the same thing where on Austin's side, I like the Dismember, because I feel like the early turns are just so important not to let the other person snowball out of control with an Emery or a Goose, and having that 1 mana answer is critical.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Craig. I think you just got to play some removal for this Urza deck. It's not just about being linear. You can't win that battle long term anymore. This is going to be our last match for the day, Craig, and that means they're going to pry me out of my Karnox gaming chair, and I am heartbroken about it, because you know Karnox always has my back, and I can save 10% at checkout when I visit karnox.com/SCG. Somehow I will persevere. I'll probably have to go immediately to bed, because I'm not going to sit in an inferior chair. Like, I'm not going to go back to the hotel and just sit in a regular hotel chair. That's nonsense.
I watched you eat dinner last night standing up the whole time.
Seriously. You think I'm just going to shift from a Karnox gaming chair, the absolute lap of luxury, to a Filthy commoner chair? No. I demand the best. I demand Karnock's gaming chairs.
It seemed silly at the time, but after you explained why you were standing up for the meal, it kind of made sense. At the end of day one, you actually tried to wheel out of here on the chair as fast as possible.
Stop me.
But they caught you. Yeah, they caught you. Maybe you try it again.
Yeah, the waiter had a lot of questions. I was just like, no Karnocks, no sitting.
Yeah, he didn't know what that was, but
nope.
Who cares?
It was awkward. Very awkward exchange. Looks like players exchanging decks now. A little courtesy shuffle on both sides.
Oh, I hate it when both players have the same sleeves.
Yeah, me too.
It makes me so nervous.
Right.
Just the least little bit of confusion.
What if you just forget?
and you're drawing in a very awkward opening hand.
Yeah. What's your sleeve of choice these days, Craig? Ultimate Guard, obviously, but which ones? You got to tell me a color.
Oh, I wouldn't say I have a favorite color. I do like a variety. I'm one of those people that really likes having newer sleeves for almost every event.
Me too.
And I'm not in love with any one color, so I'm always like, ooh, this one's nice. And so, like, I'll have red sleeves, and then I see the blue ones. I'm like, oh, I really like the blue ones. And then I have blue ones. And then, the next event is something different again.
Getting to the end of the stockpile of katanas I bought back when they were super hard to find. Went to my local gaming store, and they just had a stockpile one day, and I bought like 15 packs.
Yeah, just about all of them.
Yeah, I left a few for other people. I didn't want to take them all. But I'm getting to the end of that stockpile. Forest Green, my current favorite.
Okay.
Out of the katana sleeves, but I'm going to have to re-up soon. Maybe time to pick up a new color.
Yeah, hopefully you have a source.
I don't know if they're still as hard to find, but I haven't had to look in a while, to be quite honest. So we will see. Sounds like Star City is stocked right now. Head over to StarCityGames.com. Pick up some katana sleeves.
Man, what a promo. Look at you.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, Craig.
You are just a pro over there.
Not because I know anything about Magic.
Well, that's kind of why they sent me along, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why you're here. Zan going to go ahead and fetch, grab a Watery Grave. Good turn one from Austin Collins again. Sakura Tribe Scout.
Yeah, I mean, the Amulet Titan, we talk about actions per turn. Turn one is not the turn for that deck, but turns 2 and 3 can get pretty out of control.
Well, this is going to slow things down quite a bit for the Amulet Titan deck. It's Damping Sphere from Zan. Thrilled to get that onto the battlefield. Yeah. I am positive Austin has Force of Vigor in his deck at this point, but got to find it.
Sure. And, well, it's funny because Damping Sphere still very powerful in this matchup, but the Amulet Titans players, with the inclusion of Castle Garenbrig, now have so many more just normal lands than they used to have. They play less Karus than they used to.
Yep.
It's possible that Austin can just ramp right past this Damping Sphere and still deploy a Titan in timely fashion.
It absolutely is. There is Castle Garenbrig, as you mentioned. And here's Azusa. There's Stellaria West. I mean, Austin Collins doesn't even have Karus right now.
Yep.
Just playing fair. Up to 4 mana on his side of the battlefield.
Wait, this is playing... It's turn 2.
This is fair Magic, Craig. This is what it looks like in 2019.
What a time to be alive, Brian.
Mox Opal from Zen. Follow Thopter Foundry. Says my heart.
Not with that mana, right?
Emery. You're right, not with that mana. Damping Sphere also upping the cost of this spell.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's played. Yeah.
Now has Emery ready to go. We talked about all of these engines being good.
So much text on that Damping Sphere.
Yeah, it does a lot of stuff. Here's Ancient Stirrings from Austin. Awkwardly finds a Karu here. Not the best land against the Damping Sphere. especially no Amulet in play. He's going to take it, though.
Yeah, a little awkward. I mean, he definitely does want to still keep making his land drops.
Yep. And you got plenty of land drops to make here via Azusa.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he does, because last turn he could have played an additional land. He only used one additional land drop from the Azusa, not both of them.
Sure. I'm just talking the actual setback of the Karoo is not going to punish.
Yep.
Remember that Simic Wurza mirror being played by Jeremy Battarioni, Edgar Magayesh?
Is it over?
No, game one isn't over, Craig.
What a treat.
Just grinding out that game one.
Yeah, non-stop magic for our fans at home.
Mm-hmm. Here is that Karoo. Going to return Forest. Replay Forest. And it looks like no output really from Austin Collins here. Slowed down by that damping sphere. That means Emery now getting online.
Yeah, this is an interesting game with the damping sphere. It kind of slows down both players.
It does. Yeah, Emery less effective. Can't just do those Mishra's Bauble shenanigans over and over and draw all the cards in the world. Zen says, sure I can. Watch me.
Yeah, well, I think when you have Emery and you have access to just more cards every single turn, you're okay with the game slowing down a lot.
Yeah, I buy that. You do have to fear the explosiveness of Amulet Titan, though. If you give them enough time, they'll just end the game on a single turn. Here's Arkham's Astrolabe. Going to draw Xana card. Turns that Mox Opal on as well. So I'm going to deploy Misty Rainforest.
Taking a peek at his sideboard, I believe.
Yeah, I would assume thinking about what he can still whir for.
Okay.
It's the only thing that really makes sense why you'd want to consult the sideboard right there. There would be a whir for one in this situation, I believe, after paying the damping sphere tax.
That looks right to me.
Tap the Mox Opal for the third blue. Tap Astrolabe and damping sphere.
Yeah, and I think part of this is mapping out how the next 2 or 3 turns are going to go. You say, if my opponent plays a Titan next turn, what do I do from there? So it's not going to be that hasty attacking Titan that you're scared of. But it will search up for a couple of lands. On my next turn, I have to answer that Titan, and potentially my opponent's able to just loop Titans almost for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, do I have an out to that? What do I need to do with this game? And that's not something easy to think about, and that's why we see Zan take so long on that turn.
Speaking of long turns, sounds like we have another game result from one of our Urza mirrors. Collins Mullen evens things up 1 game apiece against Ely Cassis. And here's the play from Austin Collins. It's time for Primeval Titan. It is going to resolve. Risky play there, obviously. Metallic Rebuke certainly had to be on Collins' mind.
Yeah, only a couple copies of that in Zan's deck. And I think when you're playing against a Simic Urza deck, sometimes you just need to go for it. You can't give him so much time. He's got the Emery going on over there. He's just going to accumulate more cards, and it's not like you're going to be able to play around that Rebuke next turn.
Right.
And you're not going to wait 2 to 3 more turns until you have all of these lands in play in order to play around it.
Makes sense to me. What does Austin Collins go for here? Can get Field of the Dead, get that online.
Field of the Dead seems great to me. A Karoo to pick up the Teleria West, also very appealing because it ensures that you can search up another Titan as this game moves forward.
I mean, just Field of the Dead, Karoo keeps bouncing itself, replay it over and over with that Azusa and the Sakura Tribe Scout. That's a pretty formidable battlefield very quickly. We do have 6 different names right now on the battlefield.
I'm glad you can tell that because...
Well, I say it with like 50% confidence.
Yeah.
But I do think that is a Simic growth chamber.
I think the other thing that Austin is thinking about here is getting sources that can produce red and white. So Gemstone Caverns and potentially the land that copies the Gemstone Caverns, Vesuva, because that turns on cards like the Sunhome.
Okay.
But my take is to go with the zombie approach.
And you see Austin counting for different land types right now. Just given the Azusa and the Sakura Tribe Scout, it makes a lot of sense to me. Gets Simic Growth Chamber. And Teleria West.
Okay. This is a little surprising.
Is there a possibility Field's not in the deck right now?
It is definitely a possibility. And, I wouldn't fault Austin Collins for that. A lot of these games aren't going to play out in this sort of fashion.
I agree.
Where the game goes to turn 5 and 6 and you can make a zombie army and be attacking with it repeatedly. I think most of the times you have to be going for that all-in combo kill, and you don't want this awkward colorless land in your deck.
I understand what you're saying.
He thumbed by a Cavern of Souls in there, and if you're siding in an extra Cavern of Souls to make your Titans uncounterable, you do need to be taking things out of your deck in order to do that.
Yeah. You've got some other options. The life gain lands, not particularly relevant. Something like Radiant Fountain can certainly go.
We're for 2.
Okay. What are we looking for here? Piece of the Thopter Sword combo. I am pretty confident Zan does have a Thopter Foundry in hand.
Okay.
At that point, you're just an Urza away from going off.
Yes, he is, but if he doesn't find the Urza, I think just spending all of your mana to make Thopters is not real strong against just a string of Titans.
Agreed.
But it still might just be the best card he has to get in his deck.
Right, he's already got the best card, right? Damping Sphere is there.
Yep.
What can you do beyond that is the question. Pithing Needle. Okay. We'll get word on exactly what that's naming. What do you think it's on?
I'm not sure. This one's a surprise to me. Austin Collins is real far from activating that Sunhome.
Mm-hmm. I think Zan's still debating what he's going to name. Name's Teleria West. Okay.
Does that work?
I think it does. I am pretty confident it does.
There's been so many just super interesting rules interactions this weekend. Oh, he has the Urza.
Yeah, as suspected.
Yeah, we're getting confirmation that the Pithing Needle will turn off the transmute on the Teleria West.
Well, it's Urza time.
Yeah, and so Zan played an Urza. He's going to get this Construct, which is going to be massive.
Deploys a Mishra's Bauble once more.
I believe we have a 7/7 Construct going on.
An effective blocker for a Primeval Titan. You don't see too many of those these days.
And this is just so interesting how this game has played out, where if Austin had that Field of the Dead and he had a go wide strategy here and he was just making 3 or 4 zombies a turn,
Do you think it's good enough?
it would have been great.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot.
So Austin's all tapped out and he's thinking about Zan's turn. I wonder if he has a Force of Vigor here. The other option is he could be thinking about playing a land off of the Scout.
Mm-hmm. Colin's going to take a draw.
If he has the Force of Vigor, he doesn't want to telegraph that. You want to be able to attack with your Titan. The opponent just blocks automatically, and then you blow up 2 of his other artifacts, and you get to take down the Construct along the way.
Right. That obviously would require a mana investment, but I think you're cool with that here. You don't need to get the free mode. Don't be greedy.
And if it is Force of Vigor, he can obviously get the Pithing Needle off of the board, opening up his Teleria West.
Yeah.
That would
swings.
be a huge card.
Very big swings. Doing a little counting here. Never like to see that when you're against Amulet Titan. And it looks like we're going to cast Summoner's Pact and go a searching. Keeping a careful eye on Austin's deck right now, trying to spot a Field of the Dead.
Ooh, I like this tutor target.
Yeah, Reclamation Sage pulled to the front. I didn't see Field of the Dead in that quick thumb. Doesn't mean it's not there. I just didn't see it. There is the Reclamation Sage. Just looking to unlock our Teleria West here.
Yeah, if you blow up the Pithing Needle, then you can still attack with your Titan, and Zan has the option of trading the Construct with it.
We're looking at a 7/7 right now. Is that correct?
I believe it is 7/7 right now.
So I'm only seeing 6 on my quick count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, there's definitely a possibility I counted one of these other cards as an artifact.
Right. If there's only 6 presently, I mean, blowing out that Pithing Needle is huge, right?
Yes. Well, then
Vesuva enters the battlefield, copying Simic Growth Chamber. Here's Reclamation Sage.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and how about some hidden mana from Zan? It's Cryptic Command, cast via Urza. Looks like we were going to respond to this Primeval Titan. But what is this?
Oh, wow.
Disdainful Stroke.
What
in
a series
return.
of plays.
Wow, big swings here.
That was great. I love it.
The old 4-mana Disdainful Stroke.
There's so many cards he wants to get off the board.
He kills the Construct. We do have our first result from this top 8. And it means, as usual, Craig, I am right, you were wrong. Collins Mullen advances to the semifinals.
Wait a minute.
Meaning my bracket is preserved in beautiful fashion.
But I thought I picked Collins Mullen.
I honestly don't remember anymore. And it's totally possible I have rewritten history to make myself the victor.
Do you not remember?
I really don't.
What in the world?
But for whatever reason, when I said that out loud, I was very confident that I got it right.
No, I believe we both went with Collins there. You were definitely leaning towards Ely.
Okay.
But you thought eventually you would get taken down by one of these Simic or Wurza decks, and then you decided it would just be now.
Okay. Good. I'm glad I was right. Austin, meanwhile,
this is a lot of lands.
Plays Avesiva, copying Gemstone Mine. Wants to be able to get access to that Sun Home.
Yeah, so 2 Gemstone Mines on the board means he has access to red and white for that Sun Home moving forward.
Basically trying to set up lethal next turn.
Yeah, and he's saying, yeah, we're going to get frisky next turn.
Xandru and Oko.
Yeah,
Zan with a very full grip for this stage of the game. You have to assume multiple options.
Juan, I think we were both a little surprised to see Austin go after the Construct instead of just attacking the Pithing Needle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're able to deploy multiple Primeval Titans a turn, it seems hard to lose the game that way.
So Zan reaching for 3 mana. Oh dear. It's Oko.
You just had that one dialed up the whole time. Just waiting for it.
Just been sitting on it all weekend.
Oh, yeah. Hadn't used it up until now.
I knew there would be only one appropriate time to use it.
So you left it in the chamber.
And I just saved it.
Yeah.
Ready to go in this quarterfinals matchup.
And
what are his other voice lines?
oh, jeez.
That's the only one that really sticks with me.
So I haven't been playing a lot of Constructed on Arena.
Why is that, Craig? Don't you have a Pro Tour to test for?
Oh, what a nightmare. But I have run into Oko a few times in Limited.
Okay.
And so I don't even want to remember what he says because it just like...
So traumatic.
Yeah, it just haunts me.
Oko going to turn Primeval Titan into Primeval Elk.
If you really want to get me, just putting the severed elk head in my bed while I'm sleeping.
That'll really take things up a notch.
I guess that would scare the hell out of me either way, even if Oko wasn't a thing.
Right. Yeah, Oko not the key to that piece of intimidation there. Just the severed animal heads left in your bed.
Remembers to pay.
That's safe now anyway. No longer auto lose.
Yeah, that's so weird to me.
It is weird, but I understand. Like, the purpose of that card is not as a gotcha mechanic. Like, that's not what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to incentivize you to pay on a future turn.
Yes.
You just come from a different age, Craig. I understand.
Well, players choose to put this card in their deck.
Sure.
I feel like the responsibility should be on them to pay for their packs.
I agree.
And by giving the option to back up, you actually open the door for angle shooting.
Yeah, you incentivize some advantages if you're the type of person who would push those advantages. I understand.
And this, oh man, this game has been so great to watch. Just the swings back and forth, where each decision is really critical from turn to turn. Yeah, we're not blocking with our elk, that's for sure.
It's like the whole squad getting ready for battle right now.
Get him in there. All right, it looks like the elk is turning on Oko.
Think so?
And the Rex Sage is going after Zan's head.
I agree with that. Zan willing to throw away Emery here. Saying, I got all the cards I need to win this game.
Yeah, and we have to remember that Zan could have more plays this turn because of all the mana he has through Urza.
Yep. Austin can activate this Sunhome if he chooses. It won't kill Oko.
Yeah, I think it's just going to deal as much damage as possible.
Yeah,
there.
and that's going to bring Zan down to 6, assuming this attack goes through. Emery's going to die.
But even this is a tough line.
Yeah, it's hard to see how Austin pulls ahead from this spot. Just really missing that Field of the Dead, that grindy way of getting into this game. It's odd. Once your deck introduces Cryptic Command into the mix, you're much more incentivized to play a long game.
Well, so the funny thing to me about Cryptic Command is that for a while, Modern had gotten so aggressive that 4 mana was too expensive. You could not put this 4 mana spell into your deck. We rarely see Jace find the board anymore.
Right.
But the Simic Urza deck has so much access to free mana at different points in the game, especially once Urza's on the board, that you want something super powerful to do with all of this mana. And sometimes all you need to do is to protect Urza for a turn or two.
Right.
And Cryptic Command is one of the best, most versatile cards for doing that.
Let's not forget how much that card has been unlocked with the printing of Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah, and that is just another beautiful synergy in this deck.
Yep.
Where they just have a splash of it. They're not playing a whole bunch. Just 2 Mystic Sanctuaries, 3 Cryptic Commands, but sometimes the pieces come together and it looks beautiful.
So I'm going to tap a little bit more mana here. Time for a Thoughtseize. Says to Austin Collins, show me what you're working with. Summoner's Pact. Virtually blank Talaria West. Zan now has all the info. Can he start turning this game in his favor? Start wrapping it up.
Man, he couldn't even Summoner's Pact. He'd just end up with another Elk.
Elkiner's Pact. Summoner's Elk. Whichever one you want.
I feel like last turn he felt obligated to Sunhome, start pressuring the opponent.
Nothing better to do, quite frankly, given that hand, right?
Well, he had the Summoner's Pact. He could have tutored up
another Titan.
Another Titan.
So he had to pay for the Summoner's Pact on the last turn, so he had already spent 4 mana. Still has access to it, though. You are correct.
Well, he had. I mean, it took 4 mana and the Sunhome, which is 5 mana sources right there,
right,
in order to activate the Sunhome. And he has a mana up, which means he would have had access to 6 if he went tutoring for a Titan.
Do you think just the Oko disincentivized that play? I mean, to be frank, the Titan doesn't accomplish all that much.
Well, it's wild because if the Titan doesn't do that much, that's all Austin Collins' deck is set up to do.
Right. And I think that's the big problem with not having Field of the Dead.
Yeah, without Field of Dead in the deck, once you're locked under Oko, that's it.
Yeah, I say this not to harp on Austin Collins, but if he is not able to win this game, I think that is the decision he will ultimately regret.
Sure, but on the flip side, we've said all weekend, what impresses us out of the Simic Wurza deck?
So many things to account for.
It's so flexible, so many things to account for. This game, it's played the control role the entire game.
Yep.
The control, this combo-ish deck that can just kill you out of nowhere, it's played the control role the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at the point, so Austin Collins has to worry about, some of these artifacts getting swapped for his elk now.
Right. You give him a damping sphere.
Give him the pithing needle.
Enjoy. Do what you want with it, Austin. Looks like it's combat time.
Yeah, Austin's keeps toying with these bigger attacks because
what else can you do?
Yeah, eventually just time's up, right? And you don't want the game to end and you've never attacked with the rest of your little utility creatures.
Right.
But there's the elk, there's a goose, and there's Urza that can all block. There's the food that can get cashed in for 3 more life, and you want to kill Zan, but you also don't want to leave this Oko on the board for any longer than you have to.
Right. Looks like it's time for blocks on Primeval Elk. Another Sun Home activation. No, just going to trade.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Austin Collins drew for the turn. I feel like you're just obligated to activate Sun Home here. Leave yourself with a 3/3 on the board.
Okay. Austin ultimately agrees.
And it looks like he attacked Zan directly. I don't. It's possible there's just no winning line. I think you needed to attack Oko there, get its loyalty down lower so that he couldn't just make the swap for your only creature that can attack each turn.
Right. Feeling the Oko squeeze is Austin Collins. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I guess ultimately the damage wasn't getting through either way. Or did you want the whole squad going after Oko?
Oh, there's no trample. It's just double strike.
Just double strike.
I'm still thinking the Primeval Titan is a trampler.
Right.
You're 100% right. I mean,
Uh-oh. Here's Thopter Foundry.
And that card's good on so many levels.
Yep. That'll do things all on its own. Here's a 3/3 Elk. Zan just going to pass the turn back to Austin Collins.
Yeah, it's great to sacrifice the extra food for life total, but now you can sacrifice them for a little less life, but also get a 1/1 out of the deal. And, there's still cards where you can find where you just combo out and win the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just pack it in real quick.
All right, Austin, we're running out of time. Big draw step.
Dismember. Target Urza.
All right, this is something.
Something. I don't know what it's actually going to do long term, but
it's probably too late ultimately.
Looks like we're going to make some mana and cast Cryptic Command. Counter that Dismember. Got another mode for us.
Probably just draw a card here.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Oh, can you not sacrifice the food to the Thopter Foundry? Non-token,
not
right?
anymore.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, even its token state, yeah, you have to sacrifice an actual artifact. Absolutely. It's all good, Craig. Still learning the ins and outs. I mean, look, it sounds like it feels like there's been an eternity under Oko's reign.
There's just so many cards to keep track of.
It's a brand new card. Look, and it's a complicated card. Anytime you're changing the way cards are templated, anytime you're changing one card type into another card, even the whole concept of food, this is all very new to us at this point. It feels like it's been an eternity.
I don't know. I feel like I've been enjoying food most of my life.
Oh, that's true. I'm right there with you.
But I guess I did think that I understood food, and then we come here this weekend, and it's just
you learn you know nothing about
food. It's a completely different animal.
Everything I thought I knew about food has been invalidated.
Literally a different animal because
now it's an elk.
It's an elk.
Right. Bunch of mana being tapped here for Austin Collins. Ooh, Force of Vigor.
What does this do for us? And so many of these cards are such teases because if they'd just shown up a little earlier in the game,
right?
You know, it would have been that little push over the edge that Austin needed while he had the advantage.
Looks like we want to take out Damping Sphere and Thopter Foundry.
I think it has to be Pithing Needle and Thopter Foundry, right?
Well, do we still have a Talaria West in hand that we can even use? Okay, I guess we do, because we are targeting Pithing Needle. Zan's going to respond.
We're sacrificing them to the Foundry.
Yep. Let's go ahead and make a 1/1 Thopter. Nick Miller happy to fly to the battlefield. Going to go ahead and resolve the rest of this Force of Vigor.
Both the permanents are off the board at this point, right?
Right. Not sure what we're doing here. Austin just going to pass the turn back to Zan. Going to go ahead, use Gilded Goose, make a little food. There's the other Nick Miller we were missing. And Zan takes a draw.
Look at the amount of text on every card on the battlefield.
Perfect.
Even some of the lands just have a wall of text on them.
That's how I like my Magic cards, Craig. I want to feel like I'm reading a novel every time I peruse a battlefield.
They're nothing but intuitive cards.
Is it Urza time? Finally, after many turns on the battlefield, is it time to spin the wheel?
This is a lot of mana he's tapping. Oh, okay, yeah. We're
Urza time.
Yeah, good.
You expect Urza to get to it a little bit sooner than that.
I think that's a great hit, isn't it?
I mean, it's just got to be. Cryptic Command back on top of the library.
Yeah. There's almost nothing left that you care about out of Austin's deck. So Cryptic Command is just this wonderful insurance policy. And with Urza, you can make your plays each turn and still have the Cryptic Command mana up.
Yeah, not bad. Now with these Thopters on the battlefield.
All right, let's start the clock, sure.
Yeah, feels like the noose starting to tighten for Austin Collins. A little bit more mana spent here. Another Gilded Goose.
I wonder how Wizards decides which cards say that you can play the card until end of turn and which cards say you can cast the card until end of turn.
That's a good question, Craig. I try not to ponder such things my tiny brain can't comprehend. I just put the magic cards onto the battlefield.
Brian, I apologize.
And you are complicating my life, Craig.
I said I'm sorry.
I guess I can let it slide this time. Time for one of these geese.
One of these elk.
To start elking.
Just start elking around.
And Nick Miller going to fly through the air. 2 damage headed Austin Collins' way. I think Zan pushing towards lethal very quickly with that cryptic command on the top. Austin going to take a draw. Randomly hurl some lands around the battlefield.
Man, if only there's like 20 zombies on the battlefield right now.
It'd be nice. It'd be very nice.
You know, zombies don't care about elk, do they?
No. No, they don't. We learned that in Standard. And then they took away our zombies.
And there's only elk left.
And now only elk remain.
As far as the eye can see.
Really, the ultimate evolution of the Standard would be zombie elk. If we reach that point, we've really jumped the shark.
Just elk coming back from the dead?
Yeah.
We haven't jumped the shark, we've jumped the elk, right?
Sure. It started as a shark. It became an elk pretty quickly.
Oh, there's no end to the elk jokes.
Finally, Talaria West gets to be transmuted. That means we can go get a 0-mana card. I find it unlikely it accomplishes much, quite frankly, with that cryptic command at the ready. But let's see what Austin Collins can offer up. Pact of Negation. We do have another result. Jeremy Battarioni defeats Edgar Magalhaes 2 games 2-0, leaving me with a perfect bracket thus far. That's what everyone cares about, let's be honest.
That is it?
That's why people are here right now. They want to know how my bracket is doing. Perfect. Thanks for asking. What's Austin got? Amulet of Vigor. Doesn't seem like it's that card's time to shine. Passes the turn back to Zan. Zan draws that cryptic command.
Kind of a funny situation here where Austin's like, oh, you have cryptic command? Well, I have my own counterspell. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have anything else you're doing.
Yeah. But I've got the Oko. I've got the Elks. I've got the Thopters.
Yep, Urza.
I've got the Urza. Zan firmly in control at this point. Austin begging his deck for a miracle.
Looks like we're going to spin the wheel again.
I think so. Yep, it's Urza time. Let's shuffle up and deal. Feels like just about everything is a nice hit for Zan at this point. Sure, take a Flooded Strand.
Yeah, not the greatest hit, but yeah, nothing's bad, right?
Just the Nick Millers get ready to attack.
Yeah, I feel like potentially we can get an elk in there too. He's got some extra food lying around, so his life total isn't super threatened.
Right.
He's going to be able to make another elk this turn to be on defense, so he's going to have plenty of defenders. I think you send in an elk here.
With Amulet on the battlefield, things have changed a little bit. Like, there is more explosive damage output available to Austin Collins, assuming he can do the things he wants to do.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons to attack with the elk.
Okay. Yeah, you just want to cut off the window to actually.
Yeah, let's start.
anything.
We're way ahead. Now let's start winning the game.
I like where your head's at, Greg. Why win the game, though, when you could not lose it? Have you considered that?
He's been doing a great job of not losing it for about 30 turns.
Now it's time to win.
Yeah, I've had about enough of the not losing the game.
Oko looking to get up to some plussing. Obviously. I mean, it barely minuses.
It's all upside, as they say.
Yep. food. Going to become an elk.
I like how our players still reach for the dice.
Our old habits are hard to break. Austin takes a draw here.
It's like, no, guys. We showed up with like 40 of these 3/3 elk reminders for a reason.
I'm just going to start handing out stacks of elk reminders to everyone in the hall.
Don't worry, we're not going to run out of them.
Turn back on Austin. We know one card. It's a Pact of Negation. Looks like Zan wants to do a little fetching.
Yeah.
Fall to 5.
Why not? Four mana. 5 mana.
Urza spin. There are some instants in the deck now. Astrolabe, not going to make the cut. That was mostly free.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he might use his goose to make another food in there.
Headed back to Zan's turn now. Draws a card. It's Sword of the Meek. Fortunately, that Thopter Foundry found its way off the battlefield.
Yeah, but we're just an Emery away from the combo coming back online.
Very true.
Or more elk will just take this game down.
Feels fitting that our time this weekend be ended with a herd of elk galloping across the battlefield.
It's really a slow trample that we have going on here.
Right.
It's more of a mosey.
5 mana. Urza. Shuffle. Zan shows Misty Rainforest.
Yeah, might as well play it. Nothing to lose there.
Austin would like a peek at the graveyard. Zan, meanwhile, are we minusing?
Yeah, let's take that elk. Let's get frisky. Come on.
Yeah, give him a Damping Sphere.
It's time to attack.
Here you go. Enjoy a Damping Sphere.
Yeah, damping sphere for your
Get that off the screen. Get it off.
for your primeval elk.
Thank you. How dare you? How dare you, Rob? You know what I've been through this weekend. You've been here for all of it. And you just flash an Oko at me like that.
Do you wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweat?
Just
You're like, no.
cold Oko sweats?
No, elk, everywhere, elk.
Looks like it's Miller time, and Nick Miller joined by his favorite.
Thank goodness.
Class of creature.
Yeah.
Elks rumbling through the battlefield. A couple of chump blocks here.
It might not be over this turn, but the end is in sight here.
I think Austin's going to fall to 2 here. I believe one of those elk got through. Here's a Sword of the Meek. Whew. And the turn headed back to Austin Collins now.
Brian, we have gotten our money's worth here.
Oh, yeah. All the magic you can handle, Craig.
Yeah, and like I said, so many turns where Austin was just one card away of taking over the game.
That is going to bring the nightmare to an end, as finally Austin Collins mercifully extends his hand and puts Zan Syed into the semifinals.